I don't mind.
Like, the big thing is like, you know, I went on YouTube and I saw interviews with you and other people. A lot of people mainly focused on the Trailer Park Boys and your succession with Leahy and stuff like that. But what most people don't know is like how you got into it. There's been a lot talked about your Juilliard, you know, acting lessons and stuff. And almost nobody I spoke to knew that you had a little role in politics at one time.
Yep.
So for those of you who are not familiar with John Dunsworth's work, he is most notably known for his incredible role as Jim Leahy, the trailer park supervisor at Sunnyvale Trailer Park. The name of the show is The Trailer Park Boys, just wrapped up its 11th season of shooting. That's what most people know him for, but there's so much more to this incredible man. First of all, you studied at the University of Guelph?
Guelph.
Yeah,
Guelph. Yeah.
Guelph. And according to Wikipedia, you dropped out, John. You just weren't showing any interest there, or did you?
Well, what happened is I went to Dalhousie University in Halifax when I was 17 or so, and I had junior matriculated, which means that you only need a grade 11. If your marks are good enough, they take you to university. But it was a sham because I didn't know how to study. I wasn't a student, and consequently, when I got to university, I played bridge, and I got a 50-something average in my first year. So they asked me, "You need to have a 60." So they said I had to take a year off. So I took a year off. I went back to grade 12 for the year because my father said I wasn't allowed to live in the house unless I was going to school or working. I should have got a job because I don't know how I got under the wire, but I lasted until January, and then I went out and worked on the railroad, Canadian National Railroad. Well, I had worked up the year before that too. I was a porter and a waiter and a manager. Then I went back to university. Now I'm 19 or so. And I last till Christmas, and I get on the train and I go to Toronto, the Mecca, and I go there because I'm a failure in Halifax. I'm an angry young man. I get into trouble, not big trouble, but trouble. I could go into that more. It wasn't drugs. It was dumb stuff, right? But I got a couple jobs in Toronto. And the first job I got was the most interesting. But then I met a girl on a wrong phone call. Someone called me, and it was a wrong phone call. And so she was my age, so
What the hell?
Well, no, I mean, I was trying to think of it. Inveigled is a nice word. And we hit it off. I really liked her. She really liked me. And she was a middle class family. Like my dad was a doctor, so that's why I was so, programmed to get an education. And so I decided I should go back to school. Why? I have no idea. I still wasn't a good student. But I went to 3 different schools and wrote the entrance exams and was accepted all as a mature student. So I lied, because you're supposed to be 22, and I was only 20, I think. And so I went back to Guelph, which is 60 miles from Toronto, where she lived. And well, that was okay. I had an old 1958 Dodge with a push-button transmission. It was so fast. The seat was loose. It used to throw you back in the seat. And used to go back and forth and see her. Second semester, first semester, my dad was a psychiatrist, so you'd think I'd do okay in psychology since I used to read his books and stuff. But psychology was the only one that I was having trouble with. I think I flunked it. And it was ridiculous because it was multiple choice. And I kept thinking, well, there's the obvious answer, but that's not the one they wanted, right? Second semester, I didn't know why I was there. I had no idea, but I took I was in English and psychology, right? And So I took an acting course as well. And first time in my life, I felt challenged, I felt interested, and before long I was playing parts like Oscar Wilde. The third semester and fourth semester, I think I played Shylock in The Merchant of Venice. And I got great reviews, and I had an offer for Stratford Theatre to go into, an apprentice. But I really wanted to get back to Nova Scotia because I used to have to fall asleep thinking about the sound of the sea or the brook that ran down by our little cabin by the ocean. And so I switched out of drama. I switched into drama into philosophy because I figured, hey, I'm a philosopher. And I was taking things like value theory, comparative religious philosophy. It was so bad. It scrambled my head so much that my car broke down and I was picked up by one of the wives of one of the professors, and she was driving me back to the school. And she asked me what courses I was taking. I could only remember 2 or 3 out of the 5 courses that I was taking. And this was a month and a half in.
You're clearly showing interest.
I was clearly out of my depth. So I packed up my car. I had a Volvo wagon, an old Volvo wagon, and I drove back to Halifax with a new woman, a new girlfriend that I had met in Halifax when I was there for the summer. And so we went back to Halifax, and I thought, I'm going to be welcomed with open arms in the local theatre, Neptune Theatre, because I had a great resume, and I was a hot shot, couldn't even get in the door. So I opened my own theatre called Pier 1 Theatre, and
It's the bee's knees.
yeah, it was really a successful adventure, and I got credibility, and the university asked me to teach at the university, even without a degree, because I guess the head of the department, Lionel Lawrence, really took a shine to me. And then I was accepted into Neptune Theatre, and I started acting there, and since then I've done over 50 plays there. And I wouldn't say no to anything. If someone wanted a fundraiser, I would do the fundraiser. If they wanted an MC or auctions, I got really good at doing auctions. And I directed for Theatre Canada. I directed 10 Gilbert and Sullivan operas. I did everything, radio dramas. I did about 50 radio dramas. And I started traveling a bit with Theatre Canada, directing over Newfoundland. And it dawned on me, this is about 1980, that theatre was kind of interesting and lovely and great, and it satisfied me immensely because it was what I wanted to do most, which was to have variety in my life, because I really liked the variety of all of the different things and all the different people, all the different projects, but then it seemed that theater was, you work for 3 or 4 weeks, and then you play for 3 or 4 weeks, and then the play closes, and what do you got? You got a review or 2 or 3 or 5 or 7, you got some photographs, but my memory isn't great. I mean, I can remember lines from my first plays. I can remember lines from my first grade 9 plays. I can remember half of the script for Shylock. I can remember the Mass in Latin.
Those are ones that were just very important to you that just kind of resonated.
No, I don't know why the guy. See, I used to have a lot of accidents when I was doing. I said I got in trouble. No, seriously, I had concussions. I had amnesia for a week in the hospital. I had brace on my neck, cast on my legs, smash. But so I blame my lack of memory of certain things on concussion. That's the big scapegoat now for a lot of things that are going on in pro football and wrestling and hockey and everything. But I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I could videotape performances? But in professional theater, they don't let you. And a movie came to town And I wanted to audition for the movie, but they had already cast all the parts because they pull the actors in. So what can you do? So I decided I'd open my own casting agency called Filmworks, and it's still going after over 30 years. And we've cast everything. We cast the Canada portion of Titanic there, but I mean, Sandra Bullock movie, all kinds of stuff. Hundreds, still going, but I'm not allowed to cast because my union told me that I couldn't act professionally and cast at the same time because so many people were complaining that I was taking all the parts, which you cannot do, right? You can't do. This is Pepsi. I'm a Coca-holic, but Pepsi will do. But I got very lucky because there weren't that many actors in Canada. Most of them who belonged to the union, which was ACTRA, they were older people and they were professional theater people. And since I was such, I'd done all kinds of different things, doing documentaries and voiceovers for National Film Board and everything. So the new medium was not really a problem for me, so yeah. I was young and resilient, and so I got very lucky and got some really great parts early on. And things went nicely. We started having children. My wife and I had 4 kids, and I was building my house in the country, and I have a great extended family, brothers and sisters. There was 10 of us all together. We have our own community where we all build houses together. Life was just wonderful, and then one day Mike Clattenburg calls me. This is, 1997 or something. And he asked me if I wanted to be in a film. And I didn't say how much. It was a good thing because we had a $200 budget. But I never let money be, the rug on that. That was always the last thing on my mind. Like people would phone me and say, do you mind? All we have in our budget is $250 for the event. Fine. But every once in a while someone would say, you want to do a voiceover for a tourism commercial for Nova Scotia? And I'd say, sure. And then I'd get a check and be 10 grand, and I'd go, whoa, So I was on, don't get me wrong, up until a couple of years ago, I was always $5,000 overdrawn, always. And that's when it was, 20%. But now I have my mortgage paid and the kids are all moved out, and I'm just doing it for fun now. I'm traveling around with Randy Bobandy, and we're going to end the year up. Our 104th show is going to be over in England and Finland, and I don't know where else we're going over there. I hardly sometimes don't even know what our next stop is, but I carry the binder with all the stops and the places, and Randy makes the phone calls and does the prep and lines up the airline tickets and the rental cars. We work really well together because I'm the guy that really cares about the product on stage, and we have a show bag, and we're always tweaking stuff and adding stuff and throwing stuff away. But essentially, believe it or not, and I'm sort of embarrassed to admit it, it's basically the same show that we started with 10 years ago. Okay. It really is. I mean, we still do a shout out to the vets, Canadian or American. We still, there's lots of parts that are probably still the same. Some of the same songs we do because we love them so much. Like we do a shit rap.
There you go.
And
the propane chant really gets me going.
Propane. We build that in, and we do, Bam, peanut butter too, and we sing Liquor and Whores. Sometimes we sing Kitties Are So Nice.
But everybody knows and loves it.
Yeah, and that's why we're successful, because people love the Trailer Park Boys. So I've never, I'm a narcissist, I always have been, but in a kind of friendly kind of way, because, no, seriously, I can't help my Eurocentric upbringing, and my dad was a very proper gentleman, and my mom was just wonderful, loving, intelligent, humorous. So I took on their characteristics, but my father was always a little bit of an elitist somehow. You know, he would sit in state at supper time and we'd have a table with 10 kids could sit around, but he'd sit there all by himself.
Sorry about that. Recording got interrupted.
Recording interrupted. This is good.
Yeah, have a little food break.
Yeah. Sorry, I haven't given you a chance to breathe.
Well, some people have 3-minute questions.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I just kind of jumped in with story.
Yeah. Well, I'm doing a little recap. I have other side stories that we could get into.
You said you didn't have much time, so I'm thinking what I can get.
Yeah. Oh, no, I have lots of time.
I appreciate it, John. Thank you very much. One question that not a whole lot of people know is how long have you known Pat? Did you know him before the Trailer Park Boys got started, or
Never
was it
knew
just
him.
like moving in with a stranger?
Never knew Pat until I think it was probably the first Trailer Park movie. See, he was friends with Ricky, Julian, and Bubbles.
Yeah.
They had a pizzeria over in Prince Edward, a tavern and a pizzeria. And they used to fool around with a video camera and send the video to Mike Clattenburg. And Mike Clattenburg used to laugh his knuckles off. And he said, we should make a movie. So we made a movie called One Last Shot. That was the first one. It was Ricky and Julian. Julian was studying and wanted to go to write an exam the next day. And Ricky was trying to talk him out of it, to get in the car and to just leave town. And I was a pet store owner, Julian's boss, and my name was Mr. Leahy, and that's where Mr. Leahy started. He was a drummer.
Oh my God.
One of the shots that never made the movie was me in a cage with rats crawling all over.
Oh my God.
I'll do anything. When the camera's on me, I'll do anything.
Oh, it's true what they say. Once a drunk, always a drunk. Let's see, what else do we got here? We just been kind of jumping all over that. Okay. What was your first televised role that movie as Mr. Leahy?
No.
You got another televised part.
No. Oh, yeah, no. That's what I mean. I was very lucky. I got lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I think the first time I met Clattenburg was he was directing a series called Pit Pony. And Pit Pony was the first movie that Ellen Page ever did. And my casting company cast her in the movie. I didn't choose her, I have to admit. I put her in front of the camera, but it was the producer and the director, because the casting agent does not really have a lot to say. Like they'll ask you your opinion.
Yeah.
But you know, the people who cast the movies are the directors, and in some cases the big feeling LA producers. You know, I sometimes show them the most brilliant talent in the world, and they wouldn't use it, and they'd bring in a bohum to play the part, and that would break my heart. Because I can tell when someone is, is bad. I can't sometimes tell when they're good, but I couldn't tell Ellen Page was good. I didn't. I put her in front of the camera because I went to her school, because the teacher at her school, Gay Hauser, an actress who saved my buns, I have to say. I've only dried a couple times on stage, right?
Yeah.
And the first time I ever dried, because usually I'm right there, and I can tell you a really interesting one. I'm going to take a side trip.
All right.
My wife used to act. And she acted at the Pier 1 Theater that I started in 1970. And we did other plays as well. Like we would go over to the Nova Scotia Hospital for people, for the people who had mental problems. And I sort of had a place in my heart there, because that's where my mom and dad had been. She was a nurse. He was a psychiatrist, young psychiatrist. And we did shows like that. And we did one show, and it was called Frenzy for Two or More. What's it called? Frenzy for Two. And it was a European play. Who wrote that? Pirandello, somebody. Anyway, we were rolling through the script, and I jumped 3 pages.
Oh God.
Now, I wasn't that bad.
She obviously reeled you back.
What happened is we went merrily along for a page and a half, and I was thinking, how can I get back? How can I get back? And then I fed her the line that I should have. And then we rolled through those 3 pages, and I was so busy congratulating myself that when we came to the part that we already did, we couldn't repeat the part we already did. I had to jump that part into the new script. But guess what? I hadn't prepared myself yet. We had lived the last 5 pages of the script. But guess what? The stage manager was coming up from the console there, and trying to give us some cues to get us on, and she pulled her headset out of the board, and so the lighting guy up about 50 feet up behind the theater was totally cut off. So at the end of the play, when she was giving him cues for the blackout, he didn't hear it. So here's how the play ends. I say something to her, she says something to me, and she slaps me. And we'd rehearse the slap. You slap on the cheekbone, doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
Don't catch the ear, you oh, that hurt. But just catch and you roll with the punch, right? So she slaps me, but the lights don't go down. So 1, 2, I slap her, right? The lights don't go down. They don't need to. She doesn't. We had rehearsed the slap the other way. My wife's a tiger. She's a white tiger, and she's small, but boy, oh boy, she laid off, and I flew 5 feet as the lights fell. The director said, "We're keeping it in."
Oh my God, that is wonderful.
Anyway, I forget where I jumped away from, but I was telling another story and used that as an illustration.
We were talking about your early televised roles,
Oh yeah.
but
I think the first role that I ever did, I did a kind of a documentary. It's called Blue Nose Ghosts. I played a guy. But the first role I ever did was called, I think you can probably still get it from the National Film Board. It was called So Long to Run. And I played a fisherman. And I believe in synchronicity, coincidence. I believe that when when you notice something, that sort of is coincidental.
you take a moment.
Yeah, what you do is you say, I am in the right place at the right. I am here, and this is where I should be. And if you do that enough, and you train yourself to be open, it's the same thing as being aware. The Zen thing. It is, and eventually, I believe that you can create your own coincidence. You can.
You read that book by Dr. Deepak Chopra about the
No.
synchro destiny?
I get 3 pages into the book, and I go, got it. They have it on audio. I've never heard one, but I'd like to do them.
It's pretty good.
I've
yeah.
written a book. I'm writing a book. I've got 150 pages of the most exciting story. Amazing. But it was called So Long to Run, and what happened is I arrived in Shelburne, and I decided I was a day early, and I decided that I'd like to meet the 2 little boys that were playing my sons. And it was, this is in the 80s, early 80s, late 70s maybe.